This is a 1968 Chevrolet Camaro Restomod project that we recently completed for one of our VIP customers, a customer that we've built or are building several cars for. But this has been a very special build in the fact that this is one of the holy grail muscle cars. As with every part of this car, it's got a lot of detail in it. Even down to the engine bay, there are so many little items and little aspects of detail. It's got the billet hood hinges, it's got the sniper EFI fuel injection system which mimics the look of a carburetor but is fuel injection. It's got the full sniper ignition system, MSD distributor, it's got the March Performance serpentine belt kit, it's got a full vintage aircon system, it's got the billet fender braces. This whole intake, the customer was looking for something aggressive, something that looked really cool. So I went and searched around, and after much digging around on the internet, I found this Spectre Performance intake system with the twin intakes, which comes with the little heat shields and all of that. And I think that just really sets the engine bay apart and makes it look very aggressive. A little story behind the aluminium cover plate over the intake there is that when we received the intake, it had actually been scratched in transit because they hadn't packed it properly. So rather than send it back, because it took us so long to get it because they had to manufacture it, we made up a little plate, cut the hole for the Spectre Performance logo to cover up the scratches. The customer was looking for the dual box engine bay look, and we felt we had accomplished that. However, this front section here, it was exposed, and the standard body doesn't look that cool. So Ace Customs Racing, the guys from there, the legends from there with their fabrication skills, built this little plate. We had to space things up and the bonnet to get it to fit, because those few millimeters make such a big difference. But basically I think it finished off the engine bay so nicely with the billet fender braces and everything. And then we've brought that through obviously into the plate that covers up the scratch on the Spectre Performance intake, as well as we've got a plate that covers up all the brake pipes and stuff by the Tilton master cylinder unit. When the car came to us, the motor was in the car. Although the car was just a shell, the motor was in the car. It had been built. It had actually done some mileage, a lot of good parts, Edelbrock Performer heads and all sorts of good stuff. But we elected to, and the customer suggested, we take the engine apart and make sure that everything is okay. It's a 350 Chevy motor, which has been stroked to 383. Just as well, we stripped the motor when it came to us because we found some major issues. The car was, even though it had done very little mileage, it was about to run bearings. The bearing clearances weren't right. We actually had to line bore the block to get the crank to run straight, so that the engine block had some major issues. Luckily, we picked those up. Fully imported radiator. It's a radiator we've used before, really nicely fabricated from the US. Comes with a fan cowl and twin fans, slots right in, great for cooling the big V8. Standard, that's actually a grill vent for the air intakes, but because we've got the vintage aircon system, all that happens with that vents there is that all the rubbish falls in there and it creates rust, so we thought it would be kind of cool to flush them off, and fits in quite nicely with the line of the bonnet. Just another subtle little touch. One of the guys on the team actually suggested we should get some fluffy pink or fluffy red dice as a surprise for the customer when we reveal the car. So I didn't quite want to go with pink or red because I thought it was a bit flash. So I found those ones overseas, and they're actually really cool and the customer really likes them. So the vents on the bonnet, you'll see, have been blacked out. So when they were purchased, they were chrome. We chose to black out everything on the car. So all the chrome trims, the window trims, the grills, everything that was chrome on the car has been blacked out. We went with a satin black look. The mirrors that the client had originally built was a standard square style chrome mirror, and when we put them on the car, it just didn't suit the look of the car, and we found these which were also chrome, so we blacked those out as well. The brake system's been fully upgraded, big brakes, discs all round. It's got a Vari brake system with grooved front discs, and the same in the back, also Vari brakes. So right near the end of the project, when we were getting ready to reveal the car, I stood back and I had a look at the car, and although the color is beautiful, color the customer selected, because the car's been flushed and it's got no door handles, it's got no badges, which is the look we wanted, but it was just too much paintwork. So I had the idea of adding satin black vinyls the original Camaro design with the stripe over the nose, but then brought that in to join up with the vents. We obviously added the 383 logo. That stripe, on the morning of the reveal, we actually extended it all the way along so that it actually runs a full way around the front of the vehicle. We elected on this car to de-bumper it in the front, so obviously no front bumper, which is quite a popular thing. We do have the rear bumper, we just decided that was the look we liked. But this area here is generally, or not generally, is covered by the bumper, mostly covered by the bumper when the car runs a bumper. And also shortly before the reveal, I stood back and it was just this open here, it just didn't look right. So at the last minute, I actually ordered another grill, which we then cut up, and the legends in the Ace Customs fabrication department actually built these grills, built them to fit in here just to complete the look of the front of the car. But what was tricky about that was that you have to reach in here to open the bonnet. So we had to position the grills in such a way that you can still get in here to open the bonnet, which the guys successfully did. So basically what we developed is a push button electronically operated hydraulic handbrake. So by pushing the button, it engages the rear calipers and locks the rear calipers. So effectively you have a handbrake in its traditional sense, but it's electronically operated. So in keeping with the theme of the vehicle, which is a road racing car, the car runs a tilt and pedal box. What's quite special about it is the fact that obviously the tilt and pedal box is designed for a 3-pedal car, brake, clutch and accelerator. Obviously no clutch because it's running a 350 turbo box. So we thought it would be kind of cool to join the 2 pedals. So effectively your brake is like a traditional auto where you have a big brake pedal. So we bought additional pedal pads, fabricated a plate and joined the 2 so that the pedal box looks like a traditional auto. Because it's just a rear master cylinder setup, we built this little cover panel. Another interesting thing about the pedal box is this whole throttle mechanism and linkage here is all custom fabricated to get everything to work with the EFI system. We took the stock kick panels and then modified them to incorporate the Rockford Fosgate split system. This plate here, we actually had to customize as well because standard it's like a chromy, metallic, weird setup. So we modified it to accept the vintage air stuff, and then we vinyled it, obviously also to accept, or because we had mounted the brake bias adjustment knob because we're running a pedal box, so you can adjust the brake pressure front to rear. So we modified the panel for all of that. We've also got a Rockford USB slot there, incorporated into the dashboard in case you need a USB slot. The Sniper EFI system comes with that little display screen, which allows you to do some basic tuning and configuration and also monitor the vehicle and the air fuel mixtures and stuff like that. You can see as it boots up. It's basically the ECU of the car that's built into the whole system. So obviously the interior of the car is very customized, as we always like to do with all of our builds. Customer had a lot of ideas, obviously the Corbeau seats, the full harnesses, the half roll cage, which we'll check out just now. But the center console, it's actually the standard console which they call the coffin, but then we've modified that, extended it and actually run the console right through into the rear seat delete. This whole center section here with all the control panel buttons, each of these buttons is set up for the front windows, rear windows, park brake, door pop left, door pop right, all that sort of, everything's controlled from this control panel. These little logos on the buttons we actually had individually etched into each button by one of our expert suppliers. We've even got a wireless cell phone charger there, so customer can put his phone there and charge his phone. We've got the Rockford PMX2 head unit here, so he can connect his phone and stream his audio through the Rockford Fosgate sound system. So the car's got a Hurst trigger type shifter. To shift, you pull the trigger and then you pull back, and then so and so forth. Basically, well, the cool thing about this also, it's got the line locker button. So if you put the car in gear, you hold the line locker, it'll lock the front brakes, and you can do a burnout, release the button, and off you go. As I said, the whole interior was redone, so that includes brand new carpets, new roof lining as well, all new sun shields, new trims. Pretty much everything in the vehicle has been procured from overseas and imported from there, customized by us. So because the customer, the owner of the vehicle is very tall, so basically what we did, we actually built custom seat mounts so we could sit him further back so he could be comfortable. We had this steering extension machined up. The owner of the car had selected the seats that he wanted, the Corbeau seat, cool seat, very aggressive, but it is adjustable so you still have the level of comfort. So the rear seat delete in the car is quite a big feature. The customer wanted the half roll cage, so we designed a custom rear seat delete. The belt line, if you see those silver trim that runs all the way around, it actually continues along from the door panels. And then obviously we built the lower rear seat delete portion, which houses the Rockford amp and the fire extinguisher, the custom battery box that the battery lives under there. It's a high-powered car audio battery, excess power battery. We integrated the NOCO charging point, wrapped it in cloth tape so that it's not bright red. We customized the boot spoiler, so we cut this out and then molded it in to give it a bit more shape. The other cool thing on the rear end of the vehicle, these billet taillights, which we also blacked out, and we blacked the inner edge out, but this is an Eddy Motorsports billet fuel cap that we got from overseas. This is a standard fuel cell that we added on and basically built. It's roughly a 70-litre tank from the original fuel cell. We also incorporated a fuel level sender. We got a high-powered fuel pump that came with the Holley EFI system, and then a lot of custom work in the paneling in the rear. The fuse box actually sits behind here. All the wiring was done by us. There's a very big fuse box because of all the electronics in the car. That lives behind there, so fully serviceable. That panel comes out. Billet boot hinges as well to match the billet bonnet hinges. A gift we gave the client for the build, a little travel toolkit, just the basic stuff that you might need on the side of the road. Obviously not everything. We had this custom leather pouch made with pig skin on the inside. Houses all your common sizes in both inch sizes and metric, basic tools and stuff for the side of the road. Car's got a pretty cool suspension setup. It still runs leaf springs in the rear, however we've got fully adjustable QA1 shock absorbers. Everything under the car was also redone. The diff was stripped up, recon, powder coated. All the leaf springs were redone. The whole underside of the car was gravel guarded and painted. On the front end of the car, we're also running adjustable shocks, but it's got tubular control arms with a coilover type shock. This has been a very special build in the fact that this is one of the holy grail muscle cars. To be able to build such a car, and I think it came out really cool. The car's got a lot of detail in it, small things that we put a lot of thought into with the customer's input to bring it up to this level.